I grew up in a place called Abu Dhabi, and I've lived there for my entire life, basically until COVID hit, and a lot of people had to drastically change their lives, and I was one of those people. And we had to move back to Sudan, and that was just about the peak of the revolution, right before the civil war started. I witnessed so much death. I witnessed a lot of displacement of my family and other people's family. I was detained whenever I was 18. My sister was 17 at the time. They took us to this place. The first thing you would be held back by is the smell. Probably is just corpses, honestly. People were in there for so long that I don't think they could even speak anymore, They were tortured, they were beaten. They had nails removed, they had all sorts of torture, humiliation. After having gone through that, and having to experience that kind of stuff, your life changes, your life starts, you wake up as a person and you go through that and you're a completely different person. You don't even feel like a human anymore, you don't even feel like you're worthy of living after going through that. I am Fadi. I am a refugee currently living and studying in Belfast. My journey to here has been difficult to say the least. At times, my mental health suffered greatly. In this piece, I would like to share my story with you. I also want to showcase the people and organizations in Northern Ireland who are helping to raise awareness of the mental health issues that young people face. Along the way, I will talk to fellow refugees as well as some local politicians to see if more can be done to help young people in need. My journey starts at the Diverse Youth Centre in North Belfast, a place that made such a difference in my life. When I first arrived in Belfast, I felt alone and lost. Diverse Youth made me feel connected to the community and helped me greatly with my mental health. Hello. Everyone. Hi, Fadi. Oh my God. Hello. How are you, man? Good to see you. Okay. Kids, Fadi. How are you? Good to see you guys. It's been a while. What you could say, it's the best. It was founded by Israel Edukage in 2020, with its aim to empower young people from the BME community, build relationships, and improve their communicative skills in a cultural environment foreign to their own. Israel and his team have faced many challenges, but have worked tirelessly to create this center.
The campaign itself has opened my eyes to reality and kind of like reflecting back on my journey. When I first left Nigeria and arrived Germany as a young person, the fear, the overwhelming fear of the unknown, a place I never knew before, a community and environment that I have never been to before, the language, the food, the people, the reaction, even the environment, the weather. Yeah. So there's this fear. There's this anxiety that the fear itself even continues to increase in me, and the panic. So I have grown through that as a young person into my adulthood. And then now in Diverse Youth, I can see that in the faces of the young people when they come here. Especially those children who are in the hotels, in the limbo, children who are still in the asylum process, who are afraid of them being deported back to where they are fleeing prejudices and war. That fear of, are we accepted? That fear of what is mental health. So I can really understand and resonate with them when they express that fear. However, throughout this campaign, it's been amazing that even those fear is not completely, and they are not completely eliminated, but you can see that there are some kind of reassurances in them. And coming to a place like this in North Belfast, where the young people feel at home, feel included, I can see the difference it has made in them. That most of them are now very, very proactively involved, becoming active citizens, engaging in participating in community activities, even in our outreach. They have built their confidence as well. Whatsoever money we get from our funders, from our supporters, we put them into good use. And we continue to do that because one of our ethos is to empower young people, is to make sure that young people, when they walk into this place, they will never leave the way they came. They will be transformed. So that is exactly what Diverse Youth does. And we're very grateful to those who have funded us so far. And we're hoping that we will continue to have access to resources to help us change the narratives that has always been clouding the young people.
So what we try to do here is to make sure that these children come on board, that they know this is home. Yes, it might be tough, but the issue is this: take it on, and that you can. Because even the word itself, there's a word that says impossible. But if you look inwards into that word, it says I'm possible. And that's what I try to pass on to these young people. And I am glad so many of them are coming on board. Because what you see is that you see young people that will come in sometimes very shy, very withdrawn, and before you know it, because they are now like mingling with other children, forming relationship, you see them, you see the joy in them. You'll be like, was it not this child that came in last month? Oh my God, what's happening? It's pure joy to see them. I don't know, is this, I have this thing about me, like, when I see children evolve like that, like coming in, I won't use the word timid, but you see them so like, they don't want to mix up, they don't, but before you say Jack, they have bonded, they have formed relationship, they are mingling, they are happy, and that makes me very happy.
Oh, yeah, that is amazing. I had to leave a lot behind. So me and my sister had to flee Sudan in a span of like a week, We were smuggled to Egypt, and we were lucky enough to have previously thought about going to university somewhere other than Sudan. So we already had like an acceptance letter from university in Ukraine, and all we had to do was just go to the Ukrainian embassy and get it stamped for the visa, and then you could leave. Like even now, looking back at it, I couldn't tell you much about anything that happened in that period of time. From being detained to being in Ukraine, it just happened like that. And I don't think I even really thought about it until I was on the plane, and you see everything that you've known become tinier and tinier and further away. And you're now on a plane for 7 hours to a different country, and all that pain and all that stuff, it just hits you. It's hard. It's hard to describe. Diverse Youth recently launched the High Mate Mental Health Campaign. The campaign is driven by the belief that open conversations, support, and understanding can make a significant impact on mental well-being. The young people engage in activities and programs to enable them to understand issues that they face and encourage them to be open about their mental health. The campaign is delivered by volunteers who themselves have been affected by these issues. I am proud to say that I am one.
When this campaign came on, I felt it sounded very good. It was a good idea, and it's been an amazing journey where young people can actually talk about their mental health, in a safe space, and feel quite free. And the adults they have in Diverse Youth have been able, like the staff and the management have been able to, they're approachable for the children to just, express themselves, and they've been leading on this campaign where
they've gone to different politicians that have been able to endorse it for them. And it's been very good.
When I came here, I struggled with my mental health. I feel like I don't belong to here. So I always want to find ways that I can help people. And by volunteering, I find it so good to have this opportunity to be able to help people, especially the newcomers to Belfast. So I've been coming to to support young people in the hub, just make sure they are happy. If they want anything I can do for them, if any advice I can give to them as well. And volunteering is so good for your mental health. It make you feel the sense of a sense of purpose in this life by helping other people. And every time I help people, I feel I'm happy.
In terms of mental health, I'd say yes, there were times when I felt stressed. I had anxiety attacks. I felt depressed. You're away from your family. It's a different country. It's a different climate. It's never just cold back home. We don't have winters at all. So, I mean, the kind of climate that I have to live in, there's no mom, there's no dad. You don't go to the warmth of your home when you're going back. So these were the things that I had to face in Belfast, in Northern Ireland. And these were the things that contributed, probably I'd say, became detrimental to my mental health. But at the same time, I'd say what helped me to withstand all of these was fantastic people like you, the society here. Every city, every place has its own goods and bads, pros and cons. So in that terms, I'd say DYNI, diversity than I, and some of my friends that I found in Belfast and I made in Belfast, these people really helped me to just survive in this cold climate, I'd say.
Like the first year has started with nothing. They've started with nothing because I think until this year or late last year, they've only just begun employing people. Everyone who's worked there has been a volunteer. Even myself, I'm a volunteer there. Israel volunteers there. Alexis has recently only become an employee of Diverse Youth. You couldn't imagine how much they've done. And to think that they've done all of that while being volunteers and not being paid for it is amazing, And one could only imagine how much more and how further they could achieve with just a little more help, Education is a critical aspect of any young person's life. I traveled to Blessed Trinity College, a school which many of the young people from Diverse Youth attend. Transition to a new school for a BME young person can be very difficult. Today was International Day, in which the school comes together to celebrate cultures from around the world. While I was here, I wanted to hear about the strategies used by the school to welcome newcomer children and also hear about the problems that they might face. So, Colin, what kind of problems do students here face?
I think, Fadi, in general, it's a communication issue, where our students who originally come have been brought up in Ireland and stuff, they're able to talk about their problems more so, but we find when our children or our students arrive days, maybe in first, second, third or fourth year, that they don't have the confidence to speak out and ask for help. We have a very open climate in the school where we encourage people to talk, and it's okay not to feel okay, but we find with some of our students, the language barrier may cause a problem, or there might be some sort of stigma attached with emotional health and well-being. So we're trying to open all that out to try and say, look, we're here to help everybody and anybody.
As you said, they do face barriers in communicating, and I think that's because of the stigma, I guess, from whenever they were brought up. But what exactly would you guys do in order to help these people to try to express themselves even more?
Repurpose parts of our school as soon as we come back from COVID to address sort of emotional health with care and nurture rooms. But in particular then we've got a learning hub where our newcomer children especially then have 2 full-time workers to work with. In addition to that, we have age and stage appropriate curriculum. Our PD programme, we have emotional health and wellbeing units within the curriculum. And you've lots of signs around the school as well saying it's okay not to feel okay. But again, from a school's point of view, we need to increase that. We have Take 5 school. We address the 5 ways to wellbeing. You'll see all the signs, but we don't have them in lots of other languages as yet. but we're working on it. We're trying to promote all that too, because some of our children who come from other countries have experienced so many adverse childhood experiences that we're only sort of getting to grips with now too.
So, would you say that the teachers are aware of these problems and would they be able to address them appropriately?
In general, in our staff meetings, even at the start of the year, we get training to try and open our minds and broaden our horizons as well. Because yes, in the north here we experience their own problems, but it's hard to imagine what it's like to come from another country into our environment. So we're trying to improve ourselves even for our professional learning. And again, there's lots of conversations going on, even regarding their levels of English, where we now have this beside all the rest of our data, so it can help their learning as well.
Away from school, would you say that there are enough resources for students like that outside of school to help promote their mental well-being?
Fadi, I don't think there's ever going to be enough services for our children, and especially for our newcomer children too. We run an event every year called Supporting Our Teens, where we bring all the local organisations, sporting, addiction, debt, everything into the school, and we notice it's very, very well attended by our newcomer children. It would be great to have more organisations that we can tap into, because school and the community, they're together. So we need to increase the links between school and community, and any other organisations out there would be hugely beneficial.
I was enthused about what I heard from Collie about the measures that the school take to make children from BME community feel welcome. It was fantastic to see some of the young people from the BME community feeling comfortable and integrated in their school surroundings. So we stayed in the airport for a while. We got to Kiev, I think, and we stayed. Whenever you come into Ukraine for the first time, I think you have to show visas and stuff. And I waited for 7 hours in the airport to be interviewed by the immigration staff. You know what's funny? Whenever I got there, I showed them my passport. They looked at the passport. They said, Sudano! And then they picked up their phone. They were like, Sudano. And then this bunch of people in like police uniform came in and they were like, hey, you need to like wait here and stuff to get interviewed. You see other people go in, they're like, oh, you could go in, but you see yourself, you're like, not this again, being discriminated against just because you're from somewhere and you look some way, you can't really escape it, and it sucks, man. It really sucks. In the west of the city, I visited local councillor Paul Doherty. Paul runs Food Stock Hub. He has been praised for his contributions towards the mental health of the BME community.
We have this as a hub where many asylum seekers and refugees can come and feel part of the community. We feel that there's a real disconnect sometimes with asylum seekers and refugees, and for us a big part of what we're trying to do here is for people to make a connection to the community, feel a connection and feel part of the community that they live in. It's their community, it's our community, and we're trying to build a one community, really. That's what we're trying to do here. We find sometimes, sadly, that many asylum seekers and refugees come from untold horrors to here, to our country, and they need help. They need help in terms of their mental health. They need help in terms of a helping hand with both themselves and the family, as there are many obstacles in their way in terms of their right to work. A lot of people don't want to come and seek charity and seek help. They want to sort of be able to live their lives with dignity and be able to provide for themselves and their families. So here, collectively, we're pulling together as one community to ensure that they can do that and they can enjoy the community around them. One really positive thing we have here is the English language conversation group, where people from all over the world have come and they've connected here. They're learning the English language, but not just that, we're going out on day trips around the community and again, creating that real connection between people who live here.
So how do you manage to integrate them, or more precisely manage to make them feel like they're part of the community?
Some of the great things that we see here as well, our English language conversation group is just a great positive place, and it's a great place because we've bonded so much, we've got to know each other, but we've also got out into that community, and I've seen a lot of people come in and their heads were down, but week after week we started connecting. We talked about our families, we talked about like our aims and our ambitions and everyone's dreams, collectively, and we've really moved forward together. And I see people who are now part of our English language group walk 10 feet tall in our community, and to me that's success. You know, that's a fantastic thing for people to feel that welcome, to feel a warmth and feel a part of the place that they live is fantastic, you know, and we build on that. So every day that's what we strive towards. You know, it's about bringing people together, it's about community solidarity, it's about one community, and it's just a fantastic thing to be part of here.
Well, from my personal experience, I've had, as you've heard, a lot of trauma, you know, and a lot of horrible experiences, and I've seen so much stuff, you know, and a lot of people from my background have also seen that, and that type of stuff leaves an effect on you, leaves an imprint. It's never going to go away. It's always going to be there with you, you know, behind your heart, and it's never fine to just leave it. It's something that needs to be addressed, and it's something which is unfortunately normal as a human experience, and we need to talk about it, and we need to relate to other people who have been through the same thing. It's obviously not okay that what we've been through, but it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to say that yes, we've been through that, yes, we've survived, and we're here to make the world a better place. Possibly the most important aspect of support for mental health lies within government. I travelled to the government buildings at Stormont to speak with an elected MLA, Jerry Carroll, about the mental health crisis.
Jerry.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm Fadi.
Fadi, nice to meet you. How you doing?
How's it going?
Good, yeah. Busy today, but yeah.
So is this your office?
In his constituency, Jerry has helped many people, and he has worked hard to give a voice to people from the BME community.
What are the challenges that you face coming in here and presenting these issues?
Well, I think there are a lot of difficulties and challenges facing, you know, refugee, asylum seeker, and migrant and new communities. And I think from the start, really, it goes to the heart of the government policy. The government in Britain, but passed through here, have implemented a hostile environment policy to basically treat people seeking asylum or migrants generally as suspicious, as people to be concerned about, and really they've created a real negative, nasty environment towards people who should be welcomed into our community. So that's the first challenge, and whilst that's in Britain, that filters down to, you know, many debates or decisions in many cases in this building. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, obviously, is we have a crisis in our services. I mean, we had a discussion today about the health waiting lists, and they're astronomically out of control. I think it's 105 people are on a waiting list of some sort. And in that context, you know, some people can incorrectly, naively blame the wrong people, try to blame our refugee or asylum seeker community or migrants, many of whom either do work in the health service or are trying to, but are banned, as you know, by the legislation. So in that context of scarcer resources provided by the government, some people can look inwards and look maybe across the street when they should be looking at the policies passed at Stormont and Westminster. So that's a big challenge, and one of the issues that we're trying to push back against, to say the problem of services is down to underfunding by central government, whilst they've, you know, spent money on all sorts of other things that they shouldn't have, including more.
But I really want to ask, what do you see the mental health aspect of this, and how do you think it affects people, and what could be done to change it?
In many cases, we hear from people who, you know, need urgent treatment, need in-depth treatment and support and counselling and everything else, and can't get it. And you can only imagine the impact that's going to have on somebody if they're waiting 6 months or 2 years when they should be treated and seen by, you know, medical practitioners immediately, and that obviously is harder for people from asylum seeker or immigrant communities, because there's state racism, there's the policy of hostile environment that I talked about, and everybody can be depressed, but if you're marginalised by the state, if you're subject to £48 a week, if you're an asylum seeker, then all the pressure. It's not much, no. It's going to add more stress and more pressure, as all the evidence has showed about poverty and stress and ill mental health. So all these things are connected, and really comes back to the point of needing proper investment in our services. I mean, the British government in particular is spending billions on billions selling weapons to countries across the world, allowing more to continue, and funneling and funding more, which obviously in turn is creating more refugees and displacing people out of their countries and homes when they don't want to be. So all that money should be redirected into putting in the pockets of asylum seekers, putting in the pockets of people who need it, and putting into our services, which are completely underfunded. So if you can sort of talk about those points and tackle those issues, then hopefully mental health can be improved. But mental health is obviously affected by many.
Definitely, like undertaking the underfunding of the mental health aspect, undertaking the underfunding of helping the youth overcome their challenges, and there's so much stuff that is underfunded by this government, and it's focusing elsewhere where it should be focusing where it actually matters, to the people in this country, and I think that's really important, and that's something people like you are actually trying to help with, and they're trying to make change happen on the ground. As our friend said, like, this is all grassroots movement, and if the change doesn't come from the people, where's it going to come from?
Absolutely. Totally agree. Can't disagree with any of that.
So we got to Ukraine in the late 2020. The war only started last year, which is 2022. You never think you're going to flee war to somewhere where war starts again, For the first day, I think everyone was just so in shock and so surprised that nobody really thought about leaving. We obviously were worried about the safety. That's why we left. And we were quite close to being bombed because the train station got bombed. And my street got bombed where I lived in Kharkiv. We were very lucky to get out, and we were very lucky to get on that train, because that train was packed. A lot of people didn't get in. The culmination of Diverse Youth's High Mate program has led us to the City Hall in Belfast. The Lord Mayor of Belfast has invited the team to his parlour to celebrate the program and recognise our work raising awareness of mental health and young people seeking sanctuary in Belfast. It was a great honour for all of our team, and really showed me the progression that we have made over the last few years. To think it wasn't that long ago that my life was in a spiral. It was a marvellous occasion, and I took the chance to talk with the Lord Mayor, Brian Murphy, and get his thoughts on the programme.
First of all, it was an absolute delight to have the Diverse Youth back in again with us. It was one of the very first engagements we done back at the beginning of June, and from June, one of the best things that I've been involved in is the engagements with young people, and that's certainly the case when it came to the engagement with Diverse Youth. We've been at a number of events now, and we've been able to hear directly from you about the High Mate campaign and what you've been trying to achieve. We know mental health is one of the most important issues for young people. It comes up daily whenever we're talking to them about the biggest things that they feel is facing them in the city of Belfast. And I think that the High Mate campaign from Diverse Youth has been particularly important because it's also looked at it from the focus of young people from BME communities. And it's sometimes one of those things that maybe slips to the back of people's minds. We do understand, because they're young people, there's particular issues when it comes to trying to access services, but that can also be even more challenging for people who already have different obstacles and barriers in the way. So I think that's why, one of the reasons why the campaign's been absolutely fantastic.
What do you think should be the next steps, and what do you think is really important to focus on moving forward?
Sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel as such. It's about making sure that you have this continuing on for those future generations, for that next cohort of young people that's coming through. But I also feel, especially with the findings in the areas of the discussion that you have looked at, especially in engaging with different political leaders, that there is a need for that to continue transforming. And that may mean looking at some of the mental health strategies that have been to date and seeing if they were fit for purpose. They probably weren't. They probably wouldn't have looked at some of the issues that you have been able to talk about. And I think the next logical step for the High Mate campaign is to ensure that when we now have the government back up and running, we've got a health minister in post, and that when we're talking about mental health and mental health campaigns going forward, that we're also looking at how it impacts on other people, especially those new communities that are living here across the region and in the city of Belfast. We need to make sure that they're afforded equal access to the opportunities and the services that exists. There's plenty of organisations out there that does great work when it comes to mental health. We need to make sure that we're reducing, taking away the barriers for other people being able to access those.
Life for Fadi is, I'd love to stay optimistic, you know. I think I'm truly the type of person to look at the half full glass, you know, and drink it, because that's a go-getter, you know. Just don't look at it, just drink it, you know. And I'll definitely like make sure to achieve my dreams, because I'm never gonna give up on things that I believe in. I've never given up on the issues that face Sudan. I've never given up on my dream to study medicine. You know, even though I fled 2 wars, and it's still my dream, you know, and I've experienced so much hardship just to be able to do something that people take for granted, you know. Education, people take for granted. People don't really understand that there's so many people who just can't even think about it. People take it for granted. People take so much stuff for granted, and I hope to not take stuff for granted, even just moments, little moments that we're here and we're talking and we could exchange ideas like this. I think it's important, and I think going forward, I would love to give back, you know. I'd love to give back more, because that's all we're here for. Like, that's all we're here. Like, you're not gonna take any of your money back to the grave. You're not gonna take anything with you, you know. You're just gonna leave stuff behind, and whatever you leave behind is the most important. You leave behind an idea. You leave behind an inspiration to people.